Hello, High Spots and Cheap Pops family. This is Silicon Steve Valley, and of course, the Impaler, my partner on the other end. How you doing?
Doing pretty well tonight. It's great to talk to everybody finally. This is our first recorded appearance here, and it's great to finally introduce ourselves formally. It's a bit of a bittersweet night as we lost one of the great voices of all of wrestling in Howard Finkel today. Howard Finkel easily, let me say it this way: he's probably the first voice I ever heard come through the television set as a child, introducing wrestling to me. Okay, and I pretty much associate him with the glory days of wrestling, namely the Hulk Hogan build to beating the Iron Sheik. Growing up, also, I was a big fan, living in New Jersey here, of the MSG shows that were once a month happening here. And those were always almost like pay-per-view sort of level. And the one constant was Howard Finkel. So a voice of my childhood passed on today. Truly a talented guy. Also, I never realize that previous today that he was actually from Newark, New Jersey. So he had Jersey roots.
Yeah.
A ton of respect above and beyond for that. You know,
Brick
I
City.
am definitely a homer for that. Yeah, Brick City for sure. And I didn't realize Finkel was, has his roots in that town. And then, it was sad to see that he left us today. And it was sweet to see the reaction to his departure and all the impact that he made on many guys in the business. Even AEW acknowledged his passing, which is very classy on their part. Goes to show that it doesn't matter what you look like, what you sound like. You can have a role in this business, and you can set yourself apart. And he was one of the main, one of the main points of evidence for that. So it's sad to see him go, and I have great memories of him, and I look forward to seeing some older matches and just even zeroing in on his announcing.
No, absolutely. He was great. And hearing a lot of the stories that people told. In fact, Luke Gallows had a really great story. He does a really great Howard Finkel. And he had a story that when he was 21 years old and first signed to WWE, Howard Finkel was the one who called him. And he was like, "Hello, Luke Gallows." And apparently he spoke on the phone exactly the way he would announce a winner of a match. He would do the whole, "You will be picking up a Ford Taurus tomorrow, and then you'll be driving into Baltimore, Maryland." So it was kind of it was cool to see that. And you hear that story kind of echoed from a couple different guys, but as you said, what a part of the culture and the landscape and the program that was something we watched when we were just children. So God bless him, and he hell of a career. So cheers to you,
Yep.
Fake.
Yeah,
for sure. So other bad news today, which we're going to touch on here, and kind of the main event of today's discussion, is all of the talent and superstars and even producers that were laid off or fired, depending on what you're hearing, but they do not have a job as of yesterday. And the list, initially you only heard about 5 or 6 guys, but now we know well over 20 people fired that we know of in terms of professional wrestlers. There was dozens of behind-the-scenes workers that were laid off as well. So this wasn't just talent. This was across the board, WWE trying to save money. And this is a lot. Listen to this. So you got Drake Maverick, Zack Ryder, Kurt Hawkins, legendary tag team, Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows, which I think was the biggest surprise to me, Heath Slater, Eric Young, Rowan, Sarah Logan, No Way Jose, Mike Chioda, the referee. I didn't get that, but I guess he's making money. Maria and Mike Nellis, EC3, Aiden English, Leo Rush, Primo, and Epico Cologne of the great Cologne family. And then producers, you had Kurt Angle, Lance Storm, and Storm, who just closed down his wrestling school 4 months ago to get the job. He was released. Mike Rotunda, Bray Wyatt's father, former IRS, obviously, released on tax day. Originally tax day. How do you spell irony? IRS.
Yeah, and honestly, if that doesn't capture the evil of Vince McMahon in some moments, nothing will.
It was, and that's kind of, a lot of people had that sentiment. Also, Hurricane Helms and Fit Finley also released. Fit Finley had a lot of people reach out on Twitter and talk about how much Sasha Banks, pretty much anyone that went to NXT really showed a lot of respect to Fit Finley in terms of the producers and the agents. Some reactions across the board from you, Impaler. What is your feeling about why WWE did it, and your feelings on the superstars that are no longer employed with WWE?
There tends to be like a day in these sort of not only like just wrestling, but you also like in NFL, you have like what they call Black Monday, which is the last day of the season, happens usually on a Sunday, and then the teams that are going nowhere, they just go and fire a bunch of coaches. Well, for some reason, you sort of had that here with professional wrestling, namely WWE. And what was really just very ironic was just the day before, Vince McMahon, with his connections to President Trump, was able to go and label WWE as an essential service, which means that WWE can continue like with business as usual. Therefore, saying to the fans that they're going to still have live shows, still put out a product, and then immediately thereafter, they decided to go and release 20 wrestlers in addition to the producers and agents that you mentioned. So that was pretty surprising, a bit ironic. Some people would even say heartless. Other people would say good business. I'm not sure what to really say personally about it, but it's surprising to say the least. Was I overwhelmed by many of these guys and even women's talents? Not necessarily. They all played a role. Some of them entertained me, some of them didn't. But in the grand scheme of things, these are still human beings that you know put their bodies, their hearts, their souls out there for us, and did their best to entertain us. And it's very intriguing to see how this all unfolded. And I wish them all the best. To be quite honest with you.
Absolutely. There's so many guys who we've known for so long. I mean, Zack Ryder was with WWE since 2000, I think 9 or 10, or maybe in 2011, but he's been there for at least 9 or 10 years. Always talking about the Gratitude Era.
Yeah.
And we talked about, Lance Storm just closed down his wrestling school just so he could take this job.
Yeah.
And then he's cut loose. I have a feeling with all the producers, they're going to be back. They're not going to, WWE can't say we're going to take you back, but there's nothing for these guys to do right now because there's no live shows. If you're not part of the storyline on a TV, there is no reason for you to be in there. So I kind of see where WWE and Vince is coming from. And him being cutthroat is not something that's alien. He may have lost his fastball in terms of creativity. We all know that. But when it comes to business, he still is same old Vince that will do whatever it takes to hurt his opponent, as well as not really care what happens to the talent. Not care is a strong word, but take the dollar value over that. And hey, look, it's show business, not show friends or show family. We heard the word family said a lot today by people that work for WWE. It's a bad day for the WWE family, etc. And yeah, it's a family, true, but Vince doesn't look at it like that. And he has unceremoniously gotten rid of people on more than one occasion. And oftentimes, they come back anyway. Jim Ross is a great example of that. So I think most of these guys are going to line. They're going to do something, and they can turn it into they can turn the lemons into lemonade, so to speak, or chicken salad and chicken shit. But yeah, it was a lot of reactions throughout, and Seth Rollins today tweeted a video of, he was actually really upset, and it seemed like it was really heartfelt. I don't know if you heard about this. Seth Rollins' reaction was he didn't like the backlash that WWE, the company, was getting. And this was not taken it was not taken well by Twitter, particularly ones who don't love WWE all that much and think it was a heartless decision by Vince. And Seth got killed on Twitter, almost as bad as he did when he messed with Will Ospreay a couple months back. Seth continuing to do this, but he's saying, hey, look, let's just be positive right now so we can get through this. What do you feel about Seth Rollins making that comment?
You know what? It seems like he wants to be the company guy in ways, and almost be like the voice of the locker room, if you will. I mean, dare I say, almost like taking this Monday Night Messiah thing to a realistic level. And sometimes silence is golden, and maybe he could have just expressed his feelings for the people that just lost their jobs versus trying to defend a $1 billion company that is truthfully just guaranteed to keep their television contracts by being proclaimed essential. Vince is no longer in danger of having those contracts in question. It was a major favor to be named essential, any which way you cut it. So, Seth is going to want to say this, that, and the other thing in terms of the company themselves, and I'm sure Vince is making a mental note, and probably getting a nod by Triple H. But honestly, sometimes silence is golden, and he could have handled it maybe a little bit differently. But life will go on. I'm sure these guys will cross paths once again down the road in some level or another, and things will work out. But again, in some ways, let's put it this way: Seth tweeting this is also taking some of the heat directly off of WWE and placing it on him. So he's a wise guy. Everything's done for a reason. He is the architect, and don't you forget it, Silicon Steve Valley. So that's probably another part of the maneuvering that he did there.
Yeah, and I agree with you. He definitely likes to take the leadership role, and who else is going to do it right now, particularly on Raw? So yeah, he's got to be the guy. I just don't think he goes about it the right way. Called out Dean Ambrose, John Moxley now, obviously, but when John Moxley left WWE to go to AEW, he attacked Ambrose, said he didn't go about it the right way by airing his grievances on the Jericho show. People got on Seth about that, and he kind of made fun of Will Ospreay for not being as good as Ricochet. And so Seth has done this before, and it probably was the wrong day to do it, like as we were talking about. But
if you were to ask me, Vlad the Impaler, who would you want to hear from about this situation? And if you give him a bit of truth serum, and what would you want to hear and who from? Honestly, it would be Roman Reigns. He's honestly the guy in the locker room from all accounts that I hear, and it'd be great to sort of get his perspective, and especially considering he's one of the guys who didn't partake in WrestleMania, and I give him all the credit in the world because he put himself and his family first. And considering the COVID situation in the world, where these guys who were released can't really go out and work in normal circumstances, have got to go and figure out how to make a living for themselves and their families. And he'd be the one guy that I think would be able to separate himself from the company and sort of just speak honestly.
I would agree. But I think what he would say is, like a lot of people are going to be saying, that it was just business. And look, the numbers don't lie. I read on a couple different websites that WWE is going to be saving $140 million a month with the moves that they've made in the last 2 days. So I know they're a $1 billion company. That's a lot of coin to be saving on all the things that they're going to be saving. Now, I don't think it's all based on talent, obviously. I mean, you need 140, you know what I mean? But I mean, you go down, say it's 20 guys, and say if they all average $700,000 a year. I mean, you do the math. So it is a significant amount of money they're saving per month. I think maybe it was $140 million over a few months, actually, because that number seems a bit high. But I'm with you. It'd be good to see Roman just back again, but we'll see where that goes. But some other reactions. Amazing enough, Jim Ross, former vice president in talent relations, obviously the legendary voice of WWE for many, many years. And he tweeted, "Daunting day for our business. WWE folks released, please realize this is not the end of the world, and this is not the end, but it can be your new beginning. Count the blessings that you have and persevere. Never give up." I guess he threw a little John Cena at you, Jim Cena over there, Jim Ross Cena. But sounded like there he was kind of saying, hey, maybe this one door opens, one door closes, another door opens, which brings us to what we're going to talk about next. AEW. Who are you? You just got 20 guys released. Who do you go after? And I think it'd be kind of fun if we kind of went back, played GM, played Tony Khan or Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
And who would you want to, if you had 3 guys, who would you bring over if you were Tony Khan right
now? This is a very intriguing moment for AEW, and they have to be careful. One, if I was Tony Khan, I would not go and just start signing people because, hey, they wrestle at the WWE and they're a recognizable name. You can't fall into that trap because, truthfully, they only have, 2 hours a week as it currently stands to fill up TV time, and you don't want to oversaturate yourself with mediocrity. No offense to these people, but, AEW has more talent to go and push in those 2 hours. So if we were to go and just cut to the chase, there's 3 names that I would consider that I think would fit into their mold. Number 1, I'd probably, not that he'd be the first on my list, but I'm going to go sort of and ascend with this. Lio Rush, I think, has talent on the mic and definitely has talent in the ring. And especially, I could see him putting on some incredible matches with Darby Allin and Sammy Guevara. Immediately, you throw him into that mix. Even Jungle Boy, he and him, they probably would definitely put a good match there. And especially Leo's work on the mic, he knows how to get under the skin of people. He also knows how to sort of reel people in. I've seen him play face, get over. I've seen him be a heel and get totally booed. So that's a plus. He's somebody I would consider if I was Tony Khan. The next name I would consider is, I'm just sort of looking at them over here once again, and I want to just confirm that I am going in the right order. I would go probably Eric Rowan. Rowan was sort of the surprise to me. Big guy who honestly showed promise when he was with the heel version of Daniel Bryan, and my 2 cents. I didn't realize how good of a promo he could cut. Big dude, has a couple of cool moves in his moveset, and if you go and put him in AEW, he's the immediate enforcer / tag team partner for the Exalted One, Brody Lee. That just is as natural as it gets. And then, first and foremost, the person I would definitely look to go and sign and add to the AEW roster would be Rusev.
Yeah, and I actually forgot to mention Rusev. Rusev is definitely the top of the list, and probably the biggest surprise. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, to me, it just and Rusev has again another wrestler who's got the uncanny ability where the fans took to him. And you know what? It's like, it's beyond the Lana thing. Like the whole Lana, Bobby Lashley thing. I understand it was a very highly rated segment for WWE this past season. But truthfully, where did it get us? Really? Rusev got released. Lashley got jobbed out on WrestleMania. And then it looks like they're going to break him and Lana up anyways. It was just a salacious moment. And, the person that's going to be getting the most out of us seems to be Liv Morgan, right? So... it's a strange way to go about it, but beyond that, everybody was about Rusev Day, and for the life of me, I still don't even understand exactly what Rusev Day is. But when he came out, and Nate in English would go and introduce him, and then just sort of use his dramatic self to get him over, people bit into it, and I could see them doing something with his skill level. He's a big dude. He can play a hard-ass heel, and he can also play, honestly, a sort of a comic relief sort of face as well. I think there's a lot you can do with Rusev in AEW. Not saying he's going to go after Jon Moxley immediately. I could see him going after, they're bringing the TNT belt into the mix or something. That's a tournament or whatever they're running at this point.
Basically a TV title, which I'm for. I like that. Yeah,
definitely. So, I mean, if you put Rusev on AEW, there's going to be WWE fans who are going to be like, oh, wow, Rusev's over here. So, those would be my 3. It'd be Rusev, Rowan, and then also Lio Rush out of the mix.
And obviously, we're both under the impression that the Revival, your favorite tag team, the Revival, who looks like they're going to be called the Revolt, and because they've with everything, you're under the impression that the Revolt is finally going to get their crack at the Young Bucks after 4 years of having one of the most fun rivals between interpromotion rivals you'll ever see. So I think we're both on the same page. We think that those guys will be over in AEW as well.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, the writing's on the wall there. And honestly, if the Revival or the Revolt, whatever you want to call them, goes to AEW, gets that sort of TV time that's not PG, and are capable of laying out tag team matches with a team like the Young Bucks, it's going to be magical. Really, it is. It's going to be something special, and it's going to be something that, growing up, you and I were fans of the Horsemen, and this is the sort of wrestling you're going to see. And to me, it's as obvious as the nose on our faces that you could put Tully Blanchard in front of the Revolts, have Sean Spears near them, whatever the case they're doing, whatever they're doing with that faction, and that you have actually one of the Horsemen managing guys that have patterned themselves after the Horsemen. And that's a thing of beauty. So, and that's something, that the Young Bucks would thrive against.
Absolutely.
Well, so that's something that could happen there.
Yeah, and then it's also that built, and I don't want to spend too much time on Revival Young Bucks, but the booking rights itself, literally, I mean, the heat that they got would fuck the Revival, pardon my language, Mom, not that she has Facebook, but fuck the Revival, got over. Revival kind of shot tweets back at them, and you really had the WWE NXT guys and the Ring of Honor Young Buck independent guys loving the Young Bucks. It's going to write itself, and I really hope that does happen, and I think it will. And I'll tell you what, Rusev is my number one guy too. I really, it doesn't even look like he does that much to get over with the crowd, but he does. Every time he did anything, whether it be as a babyface when he was the badass Bulgarian brute coming over here kicking the shit out of Cena, or when he was the Rusev Day humor, he just has an uncanny way of getting over with the crowd, and he's probably tickled pink. His response actually was, Rusev out, thank you, and that's it. It was clear, cut to the point. He, of course, asked for his release about a little over a year ago as well with the Revival. So Rusev is probably happy. The only thing is that none of them can get jobs right away because of this pandemic. It's the only thing.
Yeah.
But Rusev would be my guy 100%. I think he could be big money. I really, really do. He has some mic skills, too, when he gets given the opportunity. So I'm looking forward to Rusev. I'm with you on Rowan 100% on the heater. Because let's be honest, and I like Evil Uno and I like Grayson. I like those two guys in the Dark Order. Not love them, but like them. But Evil Uno, not in the best shape, wearing kind of a generic mask. For me, that's not much of a heater for a guy who's 6'9" and can move the way that Brody Lee can move. So it doesn't make sense to have, a kind of a chubby guy with a weird mask being your heater. You can be your number two guy and be kind of like whatever, but you need Eric Rowan to kind of be the heater for Brody Lee. Because Brody Lee, his character, the way I look at it, he's the guy that can be a heater, but he's now up here. He's the one making the moves, and I have a feeling that that's what you're going to see, so I like that. I disagree with Leo. I love Leo Rush, and I think he would be good, but I'll tell you what. I'll tell you who I think AEW will get, and that's Zack Ryder. I don't necessarily love Ryder. I never really did. I wasn't watching a lot of wrestling when he was very popular on his YouTube channel, I believe in 2010. But I know Cody Rhodes loves him. Cody Rhodes tweeted about him 2 or 3 times today. He's a professional. He's a pro. He's over with the crowd. I think they might go with Zack Ryder because the thing about Leo Rush here, they got a lot of guys that are undersized in AEW. Yeah. They got to bulk up a little bit, and I think Zack Ryder kind of has that blueprint type physique and size that would go good, and he has shown the ability to be creative in the past. I think Zack Ryder might be a huge name for AEW in the long run, to be honest with you. So that would be my difference. Also, I think he's close with Cody. Leo Rush may not have that kind of in as it is. But I think that's who I would go after for AEW. So you have Lio Rush, Rusev, and Rowan. I'm Rusev, Rowan, and Zack Ryder. So either way, what a boon for AEW this could be to really give them some eyes that were on WWE. Like you said, if I'm a WWE guy and I've been a little bit resistant to go to AEW, I know Rusev's there. I'm tuning in. So I think Rusev has got to be 100% a guy that AEW should go after. So I think we're pretty much on the same page. And I also see where you're coming from with Lio Rush as well. So yeah. That's good stuff right there. It's amazing that we're in this, and it's obviously people lost their jobs and all that. All these guys, once the pandemic's over, they're all going to land on their feet. They're all good guys. What's interesting, though, Vlad, that we have a situation where Gallows and Anderson was cut. It looks like Gallows and Anderson are already, you might as well write them in the Bullet Club right now, or at least Tokyo. Yeah. I think we mentioned that Carl Anderson already tweeted a video saying that Tokyo, Japan, get ready. Machine Gun Carl Anderson is coming. And essentially, he never was able to use Machine Gun, for probably something to do with the mass shootings that this country seemingly can't get rid of.
Yeah.
So Machine Gun wouldn't do it. They wouldn't even want him to call him the Bullet Club, even though they weren't legally able to do it. So anyway, Gallows and Anderson, they got to go to New Japan. What do you think about them, those two guys, which I think a lot of people are speculating about?
Yeah, I don't think they necessarily fit into AEW unless they actually go for like a, the Elite versus some sort of version of the Bullet Club, arriving there, which, again, I just don't think it works at this time. I think it naturally fits for them to go back to Japan and just basically progress where they did the best. And you and I have discussed it at length previously. Gallows and Anderson, when they first arrived, everybody thought, oh, here we go. You got AJ Styles here. Now Gallows and Anderson is here. You have Finn Balor here. We're going to see some sort of version of the Bullet Club. And we did not see any of that for years. For years.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look behind me, I actually have a Balor Club shirt hanging behind me.
Resplendent Balor Club shirt.
Yeah, and you know what? And it's like one of those situations where they could have called it the Balor Club, or even the Club, or the OC as they eventually called it, and aligned all these guys and put them on either show, including NXT, and had them sort of be like the NWO, which is something that I think the WWE fans were looking for. And they just never gave it to you. They would always put Gallows and Anderson on SmackDown or Raw. Then they put AJ on SmackDown, separating them. And then if Finn was there with them, hey, they would sort of see each other in the back and they'd flirt with it. And they just would never follow through. So, I don't blame Gallows and Anderson as far as, them not necessarily getting over as they probably could have. It's not their fault. It was just, to me, for some reason, there was a hesitation. And the only time that they decided to go for it is when AEW arrived, and then they go and pretty much force the OC down our throats, and it was pretty forced, really, quite frankly. Mm-hmm. And then it's weird because now the Boneyard match is pretty much the last that we're going to ever see of them. It's as if the Undertaker buried the OC.
Got rid of them.
Yeah,
and then Styles actually got buried. He's still around, but those two guys. Yeah. I think they got chokeslammed and tombstoned each one of each. But I forget. I think it's when you talk about they had their opportunity in 2016 when they had the beat up John Cena thing. I'm gonna go and wrap Christmas presents with my hot Asian wife, and then I'm gonna beat up John Cena. That was really when they had their opportunity, and they closed when they separated. They did that horrible doctor skit on the New Day and the Old Day, and they look. I'm not blaming them per se, but they didn't do themselves any favors. They were kind of that Gratitude Era that Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder were. Oh, we're just happy to be here, still here, just happy to be. Well, now you're not here, Zack. You always hear the great champions and the great wrestlers say, look, I want to be the top guy. I want to be the world champion. You didn't get those four guys particularly, Kurt Hawkins, Ryder, and Gallows and Anderson. They didn't seem the hunger to have a lot of success in WWE. It seemed like they were just happy being in the locker room, making the townsmen making their money. Opposed to where the Revival and Rusev, they wanted more. They wanted to be used more. And at the end of the day, they're all in the same place. They're all on the unemployment line. So weird how it works out, for sure. So it's going to be interesting to see where all these names come up. Just some of the other reactions. Kurt Hawkins, he said last time he got fired, he had something funny to say, but it doesn't seem appropriate today. Aiden English had a cool little video. Like, I guess he likes drinking whiskey too. And
bourbon, actually, yeah. I do follow him on that.
Yeah, and Leo Rush had a very long, heartfelt tweet. We talked about the Seth Rollins one. And I, again, to my Zack Ryder, we talked about him, one of my guys who could come over to AEW. Zack Ryder on his first day released, had the #1 selling shirt on Pro Wrestling Tees for the day already. So there's money to be made if you are a professional wrestler right now. Maybe not the way you're used to it, but if you can hustle a little bit, look at Zack Ryder already. He's making a lot of money with his T-shirt sale. So
it's good that the universe is supporting him in that way. And honestly, we've gone and talked about how these people were released. And to me, the main story here and the biggest travesty of this all is that all these people were released and Mojo Rawley still has a job.
And the timing of Rob Gronkowski joining in the fray in professional wrestling, it's ridiculous. And Baron Corbin, for that matter. You got these two guys still going to be on our TV every week. We can't get Rusev or the Revival on TV. What the frig?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And we're going to just keep on going with Mojo because, he's going to stay hype. And the fans are going to go nuts for it, especially when we can go to a live event again. And he won't even have to look into a broken mirror to get over. He is Gronk's wingman, and we're going to have to enjoy it.
Well, until, of course, where, Mojo Rawley does the devastating turn on Gronkowski because he's jealous of how successful he's going to be. I mean, we've seen it before, We just got another reaction, actually. New Jack just tweeted out. Of course, we saw his great behind. New Jack said, "Fuck those motherfuckers." I don't know what that means, but that New Jack. I can stabbing people again. OG's killing. I don't know. Never mind.
Classic guy.
But all right. Well, that's going to do it for us today. And again, some crazy times. I want everyone to stay safe. And some really, really good times are going to be coming with the next few months. So just stay tight, stay strong, stay home if you can. And thank you for joining us.